Director Keith Farrell. So Keith, tell us about the genesis of the film. What attracted you to the story? What made this story the one that you wanted to tell in the film that you directed?
Thank you, firstly, for having me, OMAHA, and thanks, Joe. And the genesis of the film came out in 2018. I made a film called Rabbit Punch, which had a US premiere, a short film that had a US premiere here in OMAHA Film Festival. And the producer of that, Phil Meacham, knew I was looking for a feature script. And as chance would have it, he was sitting beside a guy at a cinema screening of a short film that was like a homage to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Okay, and he got chatting to the guy sitting beside him, and the guy said, "I'm a screenwriter." And there is a tendency when sometimes they're a screenwriter to go, "Okay," and run the opposite direction. But this occasion, he stayed in the chat, and the guy sent him a few scripts, and he read Wait for me, and he was like, this is the film Keith's been looking to do. And I owe Phil, because Phil had moved to Germany, he didn't have to do this for me, and he sent me the script, and I was like blown away, and I met Bernard. I'm an Irish immigrant living in the UK, and Bernard's a second generation Irish immigrant. His parents emigrated. And it really resonated with me, the story. I worked for the Irish Post, so I saw people like Alison in my day-to-day job as a journalist, so I kind of knew that world. So it really resonated for me as a story, because not all stories are the American or British dream. People fall through the cracks all the time, and I quite like that. I quite like telling miserable stories. And if anyone saw Rabbit Punch, they'd get what I mean.
Does anybody need a hug before we continue?
I'll give you a big hug. Free hugs and Xanax outside.
Talk about your cast. As an amazing cast, your two leads are incredible. How did you find them? What qualities did you see in them as actors that made you say, like, wow, these are the two that I need to cast?
Yeah, so Aaron Chobham we cast. This was shot during COVID in 2021. So we did all our auditions on Zoom, and we had some great actors. Like, don't get me wrong, we had some incredible actors, but Aaron just stood out. He kind of got the character straight away. Because the danger with someone like this is a fellow who is racked by grief and is, we don't ever define it, but he is on the spectrum. And there was a tendency to some of the auditions played him too much like Rain Man, like Dustin Hoffman, and that wasn't what we were looking for. We're looking for a guy who's suffering from grief, and that's why he is that way. And Aaron did brilliantly. It was so subtle the way he did it. And we thought, okay, that's what we're looking for. And we had another actor cast for the role of Alison. And during COVID, people got sick, and a week before we were due to film, she got COVID. So we had to, on the Thursday, so we were filming on the Monday. On the Tuesday, we get the phone call from the agent going, she's sick. And we're like, oh. So on the Thursday, on the Wednesday, the script, Karen was recommended to me by a friend of mine, is an actor, and I was like, this is what I need. Firstly, because of COVID regulations, they have to be in the United Kingdom. Secondly, they have to have an Irish accent, because at this stage, we can't do accent training. And thirdly, they have to be available. So he said, Karen is standing, and one of our Charlie Wood, one of our production coordinators, said the same name. And I knew her work, and I'd seen her in a film in Galway Film Festival, and very different film to this, and she blew me away. So she read the script on Wednesday. She was finishing a job that Friday, so we were really lucky. Thursday I spoke to her on the phone. She flew on Sunday, and we started shooting on the Monday.
She was like last second.
But isn't she incredible? Isn't Karen just like? Can you imagine anyone else in that role now? She's just so good, and she's a very underrated actor who doesn't get the praise she deserves for her work, because she's phenomenal. I think partly because she lives in Belfast, and it's kind of like you might as well be living on the moon. As an actor, you're making yourself so out of it. They're like, oh my God, can't cast you. You're from Belfast. You don't live in London.
So I was going to ask you that. My next question was going to be, what was the most challenging aspect of making the film, and then on the opposite end, what was like the biggest surprise, lucky break that you weren't expecting? And
I think you've answered. I've answered the lucky break.
Right? Finding her last second.
Finding Alison was our lucky break. Finding Karen as Alison was our lucky break. Yeah, very much so. The challenge was obviously filming in COVID. It was a massive challenge. it's like we can't, the way we are right now, you can't do it on the film set during COVID. You have to be 2 meters apart, and there's the collaborative nature of filmmaking requires that kind of intimacy between yourself and all the people in the various departments that you're working with, your HODs, who make the film in effect. You're, as a director, you're kind of only that spoke, it's the center, and all those kind of spikes coming out of it are the people who really allow the film to be made. And so that I found it really hard, that lack of intimacy that we would normally have. Intimacy in a platonic way, folks. not in anything weird, but in purely that being able to just go over and talk to the grip about something, which you couldn't do because the producer would give out to me, and she shouted, like she kept constantly give out to me because I kept stepping over into the wrong covert area. So that was a challenge. The other one was my editor. It's quite hard editing long distance as well, because there's something about sitting in an edit with an editor and being able to work immediately. And there was he landed a massive BBC gig, so he was only able to cut the film during gaps and blocks in his shoot, in his edit schedule. So it took a long time to edit it. That's why it didn't get released till last year, because it took so long to edit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right, open it up to questions from the audience. Anybody have any questions? In the back there.
So that it was released overseas and, in the theaters and whatever, how did it do?
Not brilliant, to be totally honest with you. We decided to release it. We've only released in the UK and Ireland. We did well. We didn't want to say that. We performed better than I expected. But we released on the warmest weekend in UK and Irish history. And when it gets warm, everyone in Ireland and UK goes to the pub or the beach. They don't go to the cinema. And in the cinema, and you know yourself that in the cinema business, that first weekend is really important. But we did enough to get extended for other week. We got, in Ireland in particular, we got like 3 or 4 weeks, which is a lot for an independent film. In the north of England, where we seem to punch, this really relates to people in the north of England because this is what they live. It's not what the BBC shows them. It's how real northern stories are played out. In the north of England, we mentioned last the most cinemas at least 2 to 3 weeks. South of England, we didn't get past a week.
Now you premiered in Manchester last summer. You've seen it with audience. It didn't maybe do financially well when it was released, but from talking to the audiences that are seeing it, what's the reaction that you're getting from
really different north-south of England divide. And Irish, interestingly, Irish reaction in Ireland is probably more similar to the north of England. North of England audiences kind of really get it and really like it. We get a good response to that. But the south of England were like, no, it's not like that. It's not right. No way could England be like that. We're a progressive modern country. There's no way we're like that. I'm like, hate to break the news to you. Drive 2 hours up the road. It's not a political movie. I didn't intend it to be a political movie, but it kind of became a little bit of a political football, with Northerners all going, yeah, this is it. Give us more money. And Southerners going, we're not giving you any money.
Any more questions? Yes, over here.
May I ask what the budget overall was?
Yeah, $300,000 pretty much. Yeah, so pretty tight. So I pulled in a lot of favors. Sorry, a little bit more. So we're at $325,000. It was 300,000 euros roughly, so 250 sterling. I think that's about $325. Not 325,000 US dollars. So it's tight. It was very tight, and we've competing. So we're competing. We required a lot of people to do it for a lot less. Our cinematographer took massive paycheck. He does big car ads and stuff like that. So yeah, the people who did it love the story, and that's why they did it. And they like working with me because I'm not a pain in the arse.
More questions? Yes, over here.
Was there any, I'm always curious of stories of things that were difficult on set or hard to pull off, or things were outside of COVID, or things that went wrong that you had to creatively solve? Was there anything like that on this shoot?
We were quite lucky. I've had those, rain pouring down and the script says it's a glorious sunny day. Luckily the script never said sunshine. When we went to Cleethorpes, which is where the beach is, we were a little bit afraid that we'd struggle with crowd control, but thanks to COVID, there was normally that beach it was first weekend of May we shot there, and it was cold, which was brilliant, because that meant people weren't going to the beach. And secondly, COVID was happening, so people weren't able to go in huge groups, and so we got that beach completely empty. Because normally, if you went there on the first weekend of May, which is the weekend we shot there, it would be packed. So that was good. Not really. Oh yeah, we had a lot of projects. So the drone days, gale force wind every day. We tried to shoot with the drone. Literally, like the drone was like drifting. We actually left one of the shots in. There is a shot where the car goes over the hill and the drone is drifting backwards. That wasn't intentional. That was the wind sending the drone that way while the car was going that way. That was, the drone days. We ended up, Joby Newsom's a great drone operator, and he kind of did us a solid. We lost 2 days filming, and he basically said, look, I'll do another day for you for free. And we got the drone shots we needed that third day, thankfully.
Now you have a journalism background.
Yeah.
You also have a documentary background.
Yeah.
So I assume that your journalism background has helped you when you were making documentaries. Do any of those skills, the journalism skills, the documentary skills, come into play when you were doing a narrative feature?
Yeah, I think the same. I mean, research is research regardless of what, any film needs. You need to do your research on it. And one of the things that journalism teaches you is not to be shy. Pick up the phone. So I was quite happy to talk and kind of clarify things in the script. Bernard's a great scriptwriter, and he does his research, but I was like, I would always second check everything. I couldn't help myself. It's the journalist in me. I couldn't help myself. I was literally going fact check. So I was able to just pick up the phone, and I had contacts in the police and people like that. I was like, right, so what's happening at the moment in terms of prostitution in policing in Greater Manchester, and I was able to get the story, and I was like, okay, that's working. There was things that we changed in the script based on the information I got from my police source. That's so cool. So that came in very much on. And the documentary background, it's a social realism film, and so very much it's shot in that light. I wear my instincts on my sleeve, and Mike Lee and Ken Loach influenced me, and that social realism style of filmmaking influenced me, so that's where it came from. So I won't be doing any musicals.
More questions? Yeah, right here.
I'm wondering, was there anything from the script that didn't end up making it into the final cut, right? That you ended up wrapping?
Yeah, not a huge amount. We shot it in. So it's 90. The script was 93 pages. We shot it in 7. That's not including the aerials, but we shot everything else in 17.5 days. So we'd done a lot of the editing in the scripting process. But there was one scene that I really loved between the sisters, where they have a battle. Karen doesn't want Alison staying in the flat, and it's a really nice scene, and it's actually one of the few moments with a bit of comedy in it. And we had to cut it because we were like, it doesn't go anywhere. And because the next scene you see them in the flat, so clearly she's made that decision, so why don't we just put them in the flat? And that was my editor. He was like, I had to break news to Keith, but you might love this scene, you might like the way it's shot and all the rest of it, but it's not driving the story forward. So yeah, you have to get rid of it. I think I just rule, like, if it's not driving the story forward, it shouldn't be in the film, even if it is pretty.
Character question about Allison. Was there a conscious decision to make sure that she didn't actually kill anybody? Because I know
that's a good
two
question.
people that she should have straight up killed, but you allowed other things to happen.
Yeah, that's a really. Do you know, in the original version of the script, she stabs Max in the back. So you were right. And myself and Bernard and the producers argued about this quite a lot. And the producers have to think about the film from a commercial viewpoint, and they were like, as soon as you have him stab Max at the back, she's the bad guy, because she's stabbed, even no matter how bad Max is, in the back. So we were like, well, she's not gonna, if Max, Max is physically huge, there's no way she's going to be able to take him on face to face. So what do we do? And he had planted the angina earlier anyway, so we're like, well, why not have him have a heart attack? So therefore he dies, he gets his just desserts, but she doesn't stab him in the back. I would have liked to have her stab him in the back.
Is there a question over here? Earlier? Anybody else?
In the final scene, was she in jail or was she getting mental health?
She was in jail.
Okay.
So she is, yeah, she does. She killed her father. So yeah, she was in jail in the final scene. But it's actually quite enough. It's again, one of those ones we debated a long time about, because it's actually quite optimistic in that she's got her life in order. She looks incredible. She's, you know, she's off the drug. She's healthy, and you know, it felt right. But initially, Bernard wanted to just end with her and Sam saying goodbye and kind of going off into sunset. And I was like, why not? Why not do the Billy Elliot and give us a positive ending? Do you know what I mean? So it's called the Billy Elliot ending.
Any more questions? Yep. there.
So with docs and narratives, how do you see yourself going forward?
I'll keep doing docs. So I finished a 3-part series for Irish TV there crikey, actually nearly 8 months ago. Just seems like yesterday. And I have a feature doc that's probably about 75% funded, and then I have another feature film that's about 75% funded. We're lucky in Ireland and in Europe, full stop, where we've got a lot of state support for filmmaking. So you can kind of make, you know, without Screen Yorkshire, which is an agency for a region of the UK, of England, we couldn't have made this film. So, you know, that's the thing, is we're very lucky that we get support for our art. And filmmaking is an art form first, it's a business second. And we were very lucky that we had. So I'm lucky that docs are really well supported. Like I've talked to some of the documentary makers here, and I'm like horrified of how hard it is for them compared to me. I'm like, oh, I just popped into the TV channel, pitched the idea, and they said, yeah, here you go. And I went to the screen agency, and I'm like, here's the idea, the TV channel likes it, yeah, here's the money. So it literally is like that. You just apply for the grants, and if you win it, you make your film. So you know your project stands up because of the grant, you know, and also the model is based on it's like blind. They don't know who's applying, so it's a blind. I don't know what the term is. Yeah, it's actually it's based on the merit of the project and documentary making, which is great. It's not based on who's making it, so it's not like Ken Burns always gets the money. You know what I mean? Or Keith Farrell always gets the money. I'm lucky. I have been very lucky. So yeah, so I am going to keep doing both. I love both. Why would I give it up? You know, I might as well do if I can. And if people are still willing to let me make films, I'm going to keep doing that. And eventually, when I get found out, they have to drag me out kicking and screaming. They're like, no, it was the other Keith Farrell that should have been the director. You were supposed to be a milkman.
Any questions? So we were talking outside earlier, you took this film to market recently in Berlin?
So yeah, so our sales agents brought it to Berlin. So how it works in the film, I don't know who here, but it works in the industry, but basically you've got distributors who sell at a local level. So you'll have a distributor that will just sell in German language territories. Our distributor, after we premiered in Manchester, we got a distributor who took it to UK and Ireland, and only UK and Ireland. Then you've sales agents that sell it internationally to all those different distributors, because those sales agents speak French or speak German or whatever it is. So at the moment, our sales agent, House of Film, took it to Germany, to Berlin. But they changed the title. It's now called Bad Fate internationally, because apparently there was a film called Wait For Me from Israel that came out the week before ours, which was just terrible timing.
It's bad fate.
It's bad fate, you said it.
Any more questions? Well, Keith, thank you so much for
Thank you very much for having me.
here.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Hopefully see you again another time after Rabbit Punch and now this.
Yeah, I'll come back again.
Come back again. Thanks, everyone.
The next one will be a musical.